So obviously 2022, you're the section leader. It is a very successful summer. The core finishes second with one of the like trippiest shows that I'd seen in a long time, the Riffs and Revelations,
Right.
where they're talking about like cats and like it basically reminds me of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, the movie with Johnny Depp where they're all doing a bunch of drugs. But also Bluecoats first and only to date Fred Sanford Percussion Trophy. So I'm sure that was quite the climax to that summer. Just a little bit about that summer. Did it feel different from the beginning? Did you guys like, where is it coming down the home stretch and you're kind of like, I don't know, I think we have a shot? Like,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a little both. At the very beginning, like into audition season, I knew the snare line specifically was going to be strong, because pretty much everyone on the line had kind of marched with each other at some point, right? Most of us had marched Pulse, and then we had a lot of people that were marching Monarch. I had marched Monarch as well, so it was like I knew there was already kind of a common ground with everyone that I knew, one, we could all just kind of get along as friends, and two, we had an understanding of technique, fundamentals, things like that, where I feel like we would be in a pretty good spot. So that definitely went a long way. But for most of the season, I mean, things were going fine for us, but it was never like we weren't going undefeated or anything like that. I think prior to finals week, we had maybe won drums once or twice. Whenever it came to being with all of those groups, so it was never really like something we were trying to do. It wasn't like our goal for the season. But I think once we got to finals week, we were in a good spot as with how we were playing, and then we knew that the judges that we were going to have that week were ones that had favored us in the past. So we were like, if we have good runs consistently, then it's a possibility that might happen. And then obviously we got to like semis day and we were kind of averaged in that top two or whatever it was. I don't remember. We thought, there's a chance it could happen, but obviously we didn't know until they announced it, which was super cool surprise. But
well, that whole year, my opinion of that Bluecoats group that won for the first time, what I think is awesome, you were the sneaky group that kind of just was good all year, did your thing, was kind of under the radar at points in terms of like the internet conversation, but just kept slowly getting better and better and better. And then you got to finals week and you just kept doing this and just did that right and did exactly what you needed to do and stayed consistent and then got rewarded for it. There was no like huge spike. It was just consistent growth, and it was right at the right time. It's cool. Definitely under the radar for me.
And I mean, and definitely, obviously, I can't say we did this without the front ensemble. We had a really, really good front ensemble, which goes a long way because it is a percussion award.
Yep,
for
sure.
Because obviously the fan favorite battery that year was Boston, per usual. And I can't say they were bad by any means. They were an incredible battery. But it was cool to have just like a very solid percussion ensemble, both with like the leadership with everyone, but as well as just the membership and the playing was super good. So it was very rewarding in that aspect to have everyone involved be rewarded for that.
Definitely two great shows to kind of wrap up that. And then the Garden of Love, also very unique. It felt like both of those shows vibed off the previous 2 years, the Bluecoats and the Lucy show as well, just with the vibe and kind of the aura that the Bluecoats were trying to set for themselves as an organization and like what kind of what they wanted to present as art on the field. Both those shows were a good culmination of that. And then last year's show, obviously, very successful as well. So